Scotty, how do you do, sir?
Oh, I'm doing just fine. I am doing great. If you take a look at the top of my little box there, you'll see a badge, and that badge means that I am number one. So I'm doing
Hmm.
great.
Good, dude. I'm so glad to hear it. Glad you're doing great with that medal. Yeah, so we might as well talk about it real fast. We'll throw up the week one recap. Scott did a smidgen better than me. You know, he went 7-5. I went 6-6. We had some that were just absolutely stupid. Bengals, to name one. Saints, that was terrible. What are we doing? Um, yeah, it was a couple rough ones. But we're back. It's week four, so it's a new week. Time to
It's a
time
new
to get back
week.
after it.
It's a new week,
I
and
gotta
you
get back.
said it. There's a couple games that surprised me. A couple games I did not expect, which we'll get into. You know, the Panthers. I was wrong. I called the Vikings frauds. Maybe they're not frauds. We'll
They're
get into
not.
all of that. But some close games, some games that weren't even close. Cincinnati getting worked. Monday Night Football. So we'll get into it all. But yeah, week four. Here we go.
All right, let's get it. So we got first game here. Absolutely atrocious, Scott. And this was one of them. This was one of them last week. We talked about it. I made the decision to fade the Panthers no matter what. And of course, last week they absolutely pummeled the Raiders because it's only fitting, right? As soon as I get on them, that's how it goes. I'm back at the well. I'm back at the well this week, Scott. I'm taking the Bengals -4 against the Panthers. The line has come down a little bit. I think it was at like 5.5 to start. Um, so it has come down a little bit. Money has come in on the Panthers. I think that's, you saw Andy Dalton throw for 300 yards last week, and people are all about it. This is a revenge game for Andy Dalton. He's going back to Cincinnati, the team that he played for most of his career, at the beginning of his career. Well, he's not going back to Cincinnati. They're coming to him. But uh, this is a must-win game for Cincy. They're 0-3. No team has ever made the playoffs with an 0-3 record. So they could be the first, but they have to win this game. If they want any chance in the world, they have to beat a Carolina Panthers team that is absolutely deep down atrocious. Last week, I know they got the win. Offense looked great. Chuba Hubbard, he could run the ball. I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's sustainable. I don't think it's gonna carry over to this one. Give me the Bengals to get it done in Carolina. Scott, what say you?
You know, sometimes football just doesn't make any sense. Sometimes the historical data doesn't add up, and that's what happened with the Panthers last week. They had no business doing what they did. Sorry to our friend out in Seattle, Travis, but maybe Bryce Young was the worst decision your organization has made. Andy Dalton came out there slinging 3 touchdowns, over 300 yards passing, but guys, they're still the Panthers. They're still the Panthers. I think they just got lucky. And this for Cincinnati is a huge game. This is not a must-win game for Cincinnati. This is a can't-lose game for Cincinnati. They cannot lose this game. If they lose this game, the rest of the division pulls away. I think they're out of the playoffs. If they go 0-4, I don't think they're going to make it.
Yep.
Joe Burrow might need to shave his head, get rid of the highlights. But he's not playing horrible. He's got 5 touchdowns on the year. Their offense is starting to pick up. Their defense is non-existent, as we saw on Monday Night Football against Washington. I mean, no defense. You'd be better off just not having a defense at all after that performance. So, look, 0-3. It's a cannot-lose game for Cincinnati. They're playing the Panthers. Give me Cincinnati. The current spread, to your point, -3.5. It opened at -5.5, and the over has also gone up 2 points. I don't know if you saw that. It opened at 44.5, and now it's at 46.5. So maybe some bets coming in, expecting the teams to score some points. So give me Cincy, -3.5.
I like it. I like it. I like it. All right, moving on here. We got the Saints and the Falcons. I know we got some Saints fans in the chat. Hopefully Greg's in there. He's watching. Saints have been one of the surprise teams this year, needless to say. I mean, I had them winning their division, but I didn't have them looking as good as they did in these first couple weeks. And then insert last week at home against Philly, and they couldn't move the ball on offense. Defense played great. Offense just could not get anything done for them. This one, I think, goes a little bit more their way. They're facing a familiar foe and a division rival in the Falcons. Couple of interesting numbers for you here, Scott, in this one. So the Saints-Falcons all-time record. They've played 110 times in their history of these two teams. The record is dead even. 55-55. Pretty interesting. Unfortunately for the Falcons, it has not really been going their way as of late. So in the last 14 times these teams have faced, the Saints are 10-4. In the last 6 times these teams have faced, the Saints are last 6 times in Atlanta, the Saints are 5-1. In the last 5 meetings between these teams in general, Saints are 4-1. I'm going with the numbers. I'm going with the Saints. I think Derek Carr gets back on track offensively. Big thing for me, though, is Kamara. Kamara right now is questionable with a rib injury. He did not practice today, so that is something to look out for later in the week as we get closer to kickoff. Definitely keep an eye out for that injury report in Kamara because he is a major, major, major part of the reason why New Orleans was off to such a fast start. He's had, I think, every game that he's played in so far, he's had over 100 receiving and rushing yards combined. So that's also something to consider moving forward prop-wise. But yeah, definitely make sure that he's playing before you do anything with the Saints. But I am on the Saints plus 2.5. Who dat, baby? Who dat? Who you got?
I see. I think it's Greg in the chat, and he's getting pretty excited about what you're talking about. But let's talk about the historical numbers here. So they're dead even overall. The Saints have had their number recently, but the Falcons team, to me, it's a new Falcons team. They're not playing bad football. And if we look at the Saints, the last 3 games, they put up 45 points average over the first 2 weeks. They demolished the Panthers, who are the Panthers. They demolished the Cowboys, who, in my opinion, we'll get to the Cowboys. I think they're choke artists. They're not as good as people think they're going to be. So 45 points there on a not very good team, in my opinion. Then they play the Eagles, who had something to play for. They were struggling. They have a good team, and they were only put up 12 points. So my concern is, hey, we're 3 weeks in. Are the Saints – are we peeling back the onion here and understanding the Saints aren't as good as we thought they were because they played 2 mediocre teams to start the season? Yeah. And then they played Philadelphia, and they had a tough time scoring points. After going 45 average the first 2 games, I was surprised they only put up 12. The Falcons team, on the other hand, they're not looking bad. They played my boys, Pittsburgh, game 1, defensive battle. We got the upper hand there. Then they beat Philadelphia on a great Monday night game, and they fought to the end. And then, honestly, they should have beat Kansas City. I mean, that was a pass interference call in the end zone to end the game there on, I think it was Pitts. But we know the Chiefs have the refs in their back pocket. So for me, I like the Falcons here. I think the Falcons step up. They're now the big brother to the Saints. Sorry, Greg. I just think the Saints might be frauds as we peel the onion back. And I think the Falcons are the better team. So they're at home. Give me the Falcons, a big, big win for the Falcons here over the Saints.
All right. I like it. Yeah, I think it just comes down to what Kirk Cousins shows up. Is it interception Kirk Cousins or is it consistent Kirk Cousins? He's just had a lot of issues moving around in that pocket. And the one thing I do want to say, so I think we've talked about it already, but I'd like to move forward in the show, like try to add some prop bets per game, trying to throw one out there. One I like in this game a lot is Cameron Jordan to get a sack. Watch for that one. That dude loves getting after the quarterback. Shout out to the chat. We see you guys. Appreciate it. Love y'all hopping in. Moving on here, we got the Seahawks taking on the Lions. This is one of the Monday night games. Scott, who you got in this one?
So this game to me screams points. This game to me screams Lions. Uh, Earlier this evening, I was on a hike with Mr. Butts, who we all know is a strong Detroit Lions fan, and he had to bring me back down to earth a little bit. And he had some good information from a lifelong Lions fan. He said back-to-back wins as a Lions fan terrify me. He said last week I couldn't have more confidence in the team winning because we lost a game we should have won, which is what the Lions do. So this week they win. He said back-to-back wins terrify him, and it got me thinking. I was on the Lions. I wanted the Lions -3.5. I liked the Lions to win this game. The Seahawks are looking good. They're coming hot. They haven't played, the highest caliber team, right? They played the Broncos, New England, and Miami with what Miami is now, which is basically a skeleton of a team. Sorry there,
I mean,
drink one, but
it is what it is. It is what it is.
So for me, I'm going to go with the over here. The over is currently 46.5. It opened at 48.5, which is interesting. It went down 2 points, but I want the over. I like. You talked about prop bets here. One prop bet that we've been riding every week is David Montgomery, anytime touchdown, and he got it for us again last week. So I like Montgomery anytime touchdown here, and I like the Lions. Give me the kneecaps, baby. They're going to go 3-1.
I like it. I am actually on the under in this one.
Ooh.
I think it's going to be a defensive battle. More so, I just think it's going to be sloppy. I just think there's going to be a lot of sacks. I think Aiden Hutchinson and that defense is going to be able to get after Geno Smith, cause some pressure, cause some problems, and vice versa. I think Jared Goff is Jared Goff. He's going to throw some interceptions. This is going to be a ground and pound type of game. Run the ball, keep possession, run the clock down. And it's a Monday night game. Monday night games, primetime games are always generally unders unless you have these high-flying offenses. But this is one of those games. Seahawks, Lions, they match up very well. They're very similar in terms of how they move the ball down the field, what they do on defense. So in that sense, I am going to take the under, and the prop that I would look at in this one, I like the Montgomery anytime. I think Jared Goff interception is money in the bank.
I thought you were going to say Hutchinson sack, so I like that too.
I like Hutchinson sack also. That's been money for us as well. I mean, He is playing possessed right now, so I think either one of those are a good bet too. All right, moving on here. We got the Thursday night game, Scott. You were just talking about the Cowboys. Tell us why you may not like them in this role.
Sorry for any Cowboys fans we got here in the chat, but I'll never get behind you. You guys are the Panthers to me, the Browns, until you show me better. All you do is choke. I told Drinkwine 2 weeks in a row that they're going to choke, and what did they do? They choked. They choked even harder last week against the Ravens too. That was a choke job. Here's what I think. The Cowboys are, on paper, a much better team than they perform out in the field every single Sunday, Thursday, whatever it might be. The Giants are not the best team. We saw some Malik Neighbors, right? He's an athlete. He's going to be a player in the league. Okay. Danny Dimes. I mean, it is what it is. That's your quarterback. You paid him a lot of money. He's going to be your quarterback. Singletary didn't look horrible. Neighbors is picking up. The defense is subpar. But they're playing it at home, the Giants. Cowboys on the road. The Cowboys coming off 2 nasty losses. I like them to choke again to a rival here. I like the Giants. Give me the Giants. Give me the points. It's now up to +6. I think we had it at +5.5. I have ESPN bets as +6. So it's moving a little bit. Give me the points here. Give me the Giants. It's gross. I don't think I've ever said give me the Giants before, but I'm saying it now. Cowboys choke.
So I am actually on the Cowboys in this one. I think that they had a rough game against the Saints, obviously. Have had a rough start to the year. But Cowboys fans always think that this is the year, right? It may not be.
It's never the year.
However, Dak Prescott is very good against the New York Giants. He is 12-2 in his career versus the Giants. I think that's why they get a big win here. I think it's low scoring. I think it's like 21-13, 24-17, something like that. Malik Neighbors and Trayvon Diggs is going to be a great matchup to watch for. They had a little beef over the summer. Malik Neighbors was asked in an interview who he was most excited to go against in the NFL. He said Trayvon. So there was a little bit of a back and forth there. So that'll be interesting to watch in terms of matchups and how they play tomorrow night. But I like the Cowboys to get it done here. If they want to do anything, if they want to make a serious run at the playoffs this year in this division, they can't slip up against teams like the Giants, especially right now when the Giants are struggling. So they got to get this one. I think they do. So I'm taking the Cowboys.
I think if the Giants pull this off, which I think they will, or at least cover, McCarthy, there's going to be some questions coming his way. In my opinion,
sure.
I mean,
sure.
Jerry Jones is loyal to.
I mean, there has to be.
He's loyal to head coaches. He's kept head coaches much longer than he should have. Why he didn't go after Sean Payton, I don't know. I understand McCarthy, Green Bay, I get it, but the Cowboys are not it right now.
Yeah, I think you mentioned Sean Payton, so that's definitely a name to consider moving forward if they were to move away from Mike McCarthy. I mean, he hasn't had the success that I think that he probably assumed that he was going to have in Denver, so that could easily be a matchup or a coach that they go after. I could definitely see that. Moving on here, we're going back to the Monday night game. This one's atrocious. The Titans, who are terrible, are playing the Dolphins, who are worse. In Miami, it's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. It's going to be a terrible game to watch. NFL blessed us this year. They knew what they were doing when they did these two games on Monday nights, because this one, there's no point in watching it. It's going to be disgusting. It's going to be ugly. It doesn't matter who's at quarterback for either of these teams. Injuries are running rapid through the NFL right now. Not just these two teams, but the injury reports are a mile long for all these teams already, and we're only 3-4 games into the year. I like the under in this one. I just don't think either one of these offenses is really going to be able to get going too much in it. So it's scary. It's low. It's at 36.5. I think it opened at 38.5, so it's come down a little bit. I just don't see it. I think it's very similar to that Chargers-Steelers game last week. It's going to be 16-10, 18-15, something disgusting like that. So give me the under. Scott, what do you got?
Oh, this is a disgusting game. You said it. I don't know which way it's going to go with points. You can't compare this to the Steelers-Chargers, because we had a Chargers defense that's pretty good and a Steelers defense that is elite right now. That's the big difference. Neither of these teams have an elite defense. Miami's offense is gone. It has disappeared. I don't know where it went. It's non-existent right now. They scored 3 points against a Seattle team that you should be able to put points against. The other side is the Tennessee Titans are led by Levis right now, who went 2 picks, 1 pick, 2 picks in the last 3 games. So maybe a prop bet here is Levis interception. And they're not unlucky interceptions. Fields last week, he had an interception that bounced off a receiver, hit a DB, and then the corner caught it, right? That's not on the QB. That's just unlucky. Levis is jumping around in the pocket, throwing shovel passes to people that aren't looking. It's pretty atrocious play. And I think it kind of speaks volumes that he's continuing to get the nod at quarterback with what he's doing and the production he's having, which is very minimal. So this game for me is disgusting. I'm going to go with the team I think should be able to score more points than the other team, and that's the Titans, only because Miami's offense is gone. They have skill players, but they have no one to get them the ball. So I'm going to go with the Titans. Give me the +1 point. It's a gross game, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you mentioned the Dolphins' offense being gone, right? What doesn't make sense to me is Mike McDaniels. Why are you trying to run the same offensive game plan with Skylar Thompson that you would with Tua? They're completely different skill sets. Tyreek isn't touching the ball. Waddle isn't touching the ball. We've had running back injury issues. Offensive line has been bad. Defense hasn't been great on the back end in the secondary. That was supposed to be one of the strengths of that defense this year. It's just ugly. It's all bad. And then you mentioned Will Levis. You know what that reminds me of is Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, when he first got into the Browns, and everybody was like, oh, Baker, yeah, he's doing stuff. He's leading the Browns. Let him go. Let's give him all these commercials. Let's pump him. Let's pump him out as much as we can. He's a good personality, right? Will Levis, he puts mayonnaise in his coffee. Let's show the people. Let's get him out there. I've seen more Will Levis commercials than I care to see in a lifetime in the last 3 weeks, I feel like. I don't know if he's the guy, especially you look at that game last week against the Packers and Malik Willis. Malik Willis got his get back. As much as he was saying all the nice things about the Titans, about how he was, thankful for the opportunity and then bringing it to the NFL and da-da-da-da-da, they still moved on from you and chose this guy, Levis. And Willis smacked him in the mouth last week and showed the Tennessee Titans that they made a mistake. Obviously, it's a little too late for the Titans, but they are going to struggle this year. Levis is not the guy.
Yeah, I mean, you said it. McDaniels, I always compare when a situation like this happens, you lose a star player. I compared Kyle Shanahan is one of the best at taking the system and incorporating a new player in that system to be successful. And we saw it. CMC goes down. Mason's playing great. Purdy, a lot of people doubted him for a while. He's been playing great. But it's different. So McDaniels, you had a whole week. It's different if Tua goes down in the second quarter and now you got to scramble in a game plan that you have set for Tua to figure out how to shift it to a different player. But you had an entire week. You knew Skylar was going to start for you, and you didn't make any changes to help him, achieve on the field. You've got skill players. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
So two more things about this, and then we're moving on from this game because I'm done with this. One is look at Kevin O'Connell and the Vikings and what he's been able to do with the island of misfit toys that he's had as a quarterback room over the last year and a half, 2 years. I mean, he makes it happen. He gets the most out of his guys. He puts them in positions to succeed. That's a perfect example of a head coach not trying to force players into a system, but using the strengths of that player and adjusting the system so that the offense can succeed and move the ball down the field. That's the problem with Miami. Point blank period. They got to get better at it. They got to make some adjustments. But yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
No. Mayo in the coffee is crazy. Navasky's right.
It is. They should. That's red flag number one. Like that should have been Tennessee's. That's not a badge of honor. That's not something people wear and they're like, oh yeah, that's my guy. If somebody walked up to you on the side of the street and told you, hey buddy, you should try mayo in your coffee, your first reaction to that guy.
It's come be the starting quarterback for my NFL team. I'll tell you that.
You would assume Buddy has had a great day and to start his day off with all sorts of various activities to lead him to that point. Okay, it's not. Moving on. It's terrible. Don't watch that game. This game is one that you were gonna want to watch. This is Buffalo Bills at the Baltimore Ravens. Ravens are a 2.5-point favorite in this. Ravens had a must-win game last week against the Cowboys. They got it done in a big way. They almost choked at the end in typical Baltimore fashion. They almost choked it away. They were able to secure it. Lamar continues to be an absolute savage against NFC teams. I think he's 20-1 now in the regular season against NFC teams, which is just stupid. Now they're playing a Buffalo Bill team, which is coming in hot. They beat the Jaguars bad. They looked really great, but they haven't really played anybody yet. This is going to be Buffalo's real first test. Baltimore on the opposite side. I mean, they've played the Chiefs. They've played the Cowboys. They've played some teams to get to where they are, and they've played them tough. They've been one-possession losses. I think in this one, the issue for me is going to be Baltimore's offensive line. They have a lot of issues injury-wise already on this team. The center's got a banged-up knee. They got a guard with an issue, I think is an ankle. They have another tackle with a problem. if Lamar doesn't have time to do anything and he's forced to run, he will get his. There's no doubt. I mean, it's Lamar Jackson, but the defense is going to get theirs too. And you're looking at Von Miller on one side, Greg Rousseau on another, Ed Oliver in the middle. That's not going to be a fun time for Lamar. That's not going to be a fun time for this running game. I think they're going to be able to slow down Derrick Henry, slow down Lamar, and make them throw the ball. I think the Bills' offense is going to be able to do enough. I love what they're doing on the running game right now with James Cook. They're getting the most out of their receivers, which they really don't have anybody right now. Josh Allen is still finding a way to get the most out of them. So I'm actually going to take the Bills here plus 2.5 to go into Baltimore. Keep it going. Keep it hot. I don't love it. I think this is going to be a great game either way, and definitely one that you will want to watch. Kind of lean the under, but I mean this one could go over. This one could go anyway. I'm really not strong about it, but I'm going to take Bills in the points. I'm just going to go with the better defense and the less injuries. Scott, who do you got?
Yeah, you mentioned a lot of things there. Navasky, you're right. Derrick Henry's a monster. He's a refrigerator. Can they stop Henry? They might be able to. Can they stop Henry and Lamar at the same time from a rushing perspective? I don't know. They're going to put pressure on Jackson. He's going to get sacked. I can understand that. But you said it. He's going to get his. He might rush for 100 yards. I don't know where this game's going to go. I mean, if you take Buffalo, they looked fantastic last week. They're 3-0. They look good. A hot start. Josh Allen has thrown for 634 yards and 7 touchdowns. But it's not like Baltimore and Lamar is not passing the ball. Lamar Jackson has 702 yards passing. He only has 3 touchdowns, but he's still getting production from a passing standpoint as well as on the ground. So for this game, I don't know which way I want to go, so I'm going to take, in my opinion, the safe option. I'm going to take the over at 46.5. I like some points to be scored here. Yes, they're good defenses, but both of these teams have offensive firepower. One thing to note is Josh Allen's played the Ravens 3 times, and he is 1-2, and he has not been that productive. He's had 2 touchdowns and 1 pick in those 3 games. That's it. That is not typical Josh Allen. That's not what we saw last week. So the Ravens kind of have him queued up. They kind of have his number. So give me the over because I'm scared because Josh Allen and the Bills they can score however many points they want to score. I think the Ravens can do the same. So give me the over here. I like some points on the board.
I like that. All right, moving on. We got about 6 games left here, so we're about halfway through so far. Appreciate everybody that's been in the chat so far. If you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. Really helps us out, and we love to hear from you. We got the Browns now taking on the Raiders, making the trip out to Vegas. This is another one that's just disgusting. Don't put it on TV. This is going to be one of those things that gets lost in red zone. Go cut your yard. Go sell lemonade down the street. Go volunteer at a retirement home. Do anything. Do anything but watch. Do anything but watch this game for your own mental health. I'm going to take the Raiders -2 at home. I think it's going to come down to defense. You look at this over-under, it's sitting at 36. They do not expect a lot of points to be scored in this one. I do not either. Deshaun Watson is playing terrible. Gardner Minshew is doing enough. He's not playing stellar, but he is doing enough. He's getting the ball to his playmakers' hands, which is what you want to do, especially in that Raiders offense with Devontae Adams on the outside. I think the Raiders' defense is going to be the key here. I think they're going to be able to get pressure on Deshaun Watson. They're going to force him into some stupid throws that he is going to make. And also, let's not forget, folks, this is Las Vegas. Deshaun Watson is walking in that thing with those eyes looking like $50, baby. He is coming in. Couple distractions out there.
They got
in Vegas
a lot of
for old Deshaun
masseuses.
Watson.
You can get a lot of. Yep.
I'm just saying things to consider. Okay. I'm going Raiders with this one. I think they get it done. Give me Raiders. Scott, what do you got?
Yeah, there's a lot of distractions in that city. That is for sure. Here's what I'll say. It's not worth my breath to talk about this game. This is my turd of the week. This is a waste of a football slot. If for some reason the NFL decides to have this as the national televised game for CBS at 2:25 p.m., I'll never understand what they're doing with scheduling. But yeah, I mean, this game's disgusting. I'll take Las Vegas at home because I think that they might be able to be a better football team. Both these teams are atrocious to me, especially the Browns, the turds. It's turd of the week. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. Don't turn it on.
Yep. Agreed. All right, moving on to this next one. This is another one. This is another one that's to say the least. We got the Jaguars taking on the Texans, making the trip to Houston. Jaguars have looked. This is a tale of two teams right here. Houston's looked decent. Offense has looked okay at times. C.J. Stroud has kind of struggled a little bit. Defense is playing great for Houston right now. I fully expect this to be the game where Houston kind of puts it all together. I think they handled the Jaguars in this one. Generally speaking, the Texans have owned the Jaguars in history's past, to the point where in the last 27 matchups between these two teams, the Texans have won 21 of them. I think that continues here. Texans minus 6.5. It's ugly. I don't even know if the Jaguars are really going to be able to score. I think the Texans are going to be able to handle them pretty well. I'm looking at 31-13, 28-13, that kind of game. I just don't think Jaguars are going to be able to put up 20 on this Texans team, and I think the Texans are going to find a lot of success on offense. So give me the Texans at home to get the cover here, Scott. What do you got?
Yeah, you touched on a lot of it that I agree with. The Texans are coming back from a tough loss against Minnesota, which was an eye opener for me. I called Minnesota frauds. So for me, this is a big bounce back game. They're at home. I like Houston to throttle the Jags. The Jags they do not look good. Trevor Lawrence does not look good. The stadium's named after him. Looks like that might have been a mistake. I just don't. The Jags do not look good. The Texans should throttle them. I love the 31-13, mostly because it's 3-1-1-3, so it's backwards. So I like that. I like them to win by a large margin. Give me the 6.5 for the Texans.
Right on. All right, moving on. We got 4 games left. We got another divisional matchup here. The Chiefs making the trip to L.A. Chiefs are a 7.5-point favorite. This line has jumped pretty significantly since the opening line. Over-under is down to 40. That's also come down pretty significant from the opening line. Chiefs fans travel. This is well known. LA also has issues filling the stands necessarily with their own fans. So it will be a lot of red in this stadium come Sunday afternoon. In this one, though, I'm going numbers. I'm not going to bet teams in this scenario. I am betting strictly numbers, and I'm going to take the home divisional dog in this. Plus 7.5. That's a key number. That's a key number, getting to that 7. Once it hit that 7, it was a must play for me on the Chargers. It kind of took it out of my hands. So I am on the Chargers. I think Harbaugh's defense is going to be able to give Mahomes problems. You look at Mahomes and this offense for the Chiefs, it is not what we're used to seeing from the Chiefs by any stretch of the imagination. Travis Kelce has been non-existent through these first 3 weeks. He really hasn't made any sort of impact. Isaiah Pacheco, he's on IR. Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's backup has been having injury issues as well. They don't really have any key guy on the outside other than Rashee Rice. Defense has played great so far. It's kind of kept them where they need to be. Chris Jones, absolute dominant monster. However, I think the Chargers are going to have enough for them to keep it close. I think that defense is going to give him fits. Khalil Mack, I think, easily gets a sack, causes some pressure on Mahomes. Mahomes, I think, is good to throw 1, if not 2 interceptions. I think this is a low-scoring game. Because it's a low-scoring game, it makes me sit with that dog more so than the favorite. So give me the home underdog and the 7.5 here, Scott. What say you?
You're a madman, and let me tell you why. I agree with Kansas City's offense is struggling. Pacheco's out, but Steele's not playing bad. He's playing like he wants a roster spot in the future. Rice is playing okay. Here's what I like about Travis Kelce this week. This last week was the first week. He has been non-existent, and this was the first week it's really come out and been covered in the news. You've seen reports. You've seen reporters talking to Kelce, asking him what's going on. Now that it's in the national light, I like him to come out with something. I like him and Mahomes to have a little one-to-one. I think they're going to have something queued up for him. I actually like him to score a touchdown this week. That's just me personally. I think he's going to get in the end zone. The other side, though, is the Chargers. The Chargers, last week, they put up 10 points against my beloved Steelers. But they left that game bruised and battered. Is Herbert going to play? I don't know if I would play him in this game because one more hit, you saw it in the Steelers game, he got sacked one time, and I think Hayward fell on his ankle, and that was it. He couldn't walk anymore. So you need to let him rest it. Otherwise, you're going to try to push for a win here. You could lose the game anyways. Your quarterback's hurt, and now you can't make a late season push. So that's a big question there. Is Herbert going to play? He's questionable right now. Joe Alt, is he going to play? He got hurt as well. And then Bosa, he's got the hip injury. Is he going to play as well? All three of them were out for the Steelers game, and they're all listed as questionable. And those are three playmakers for the Chargers. So even though they're at home, even though Kansas City is struggling offensively, it's Mahomes. They've got the refs in the back pocket. Don't forget, they're going to get a call that goes away in the fourth quarter. We saw it 3 games in a row. It's no longer a coincidence. It's just what happens. Steele, he runs angry just like Pacheco. I actually like him. I think he's a good ball player. And I like Kelce to turn it on. So I am against you here, and I want the Chiefs to cover -7.5. I just don't think the Chargers are going to score points. If Herbert's not playing, I think that the Chargers, Chris Jones is going to eat that offensive line alive, just like the Steelers did last week. They have an entire game of footage to study about how to get 4 sacks in the game and keep that quarterback, whoever it may be, running and give them no time.
Yep. So one thing, though, I do want to point out is in this situation of a home underdog, 7 and more, look at the Rams last week. I guess the 49ers. Same exact situation, lots of injuries, no idea how that offense is going to score against that team. Clear favorite on one side, been to the Super Bowl, yada, yada, yada. Just saying.
But who won?
Just saying.
Who won the Super Bowls?
Just saying.
Who wins those games every time they have them? Kansas City and
Patrick
Mahomes.
We're not betting that right now. We're betting the regular season. So
I'm just telling you, my man.
Just wanted to point that out. We got another divisional matchup here, but this time it is a divisional home favorite, not an underdog. The Vikings are making the trip to Green Bay. I believe this is the Vikings' second road game because they started on the road against the Giants, right? Week 1. So they are going outdoors, making their way to Lambeau Field. This, for me, is a little tough. If this game was played in Minnesota, I'm all over the Vikings. I love how they play at home. I think they get the most out of that ambiance with the skull chant and everything else. I think they come to play in Minnesota. On the road, divisional rival, I don't know. Jordan Love is questionable to come back. They're kind of keep teetering on the idea that he might come back. I don't think he's ready. I think it's still going to be Malik Willis. For me, I'm going to take the Vikings in this. I'm just not going against the Vikings. I told you last week, I'm done. I'm done betting against the Vikings until they prove me otherwise, so I'm taking them +2.5. Also, I think Malik Willis, last week his success and the success he had the week before that, he had a bit of a chip on his shoulder a little bit. Now this team has kind of embraced him. It's going to be interesting to see how he follows that up with a performance. If he struggles at all in this one, if he, carries that same momentum that he had last week and kind of can take the Packers out to the next heights. What say you? Keep them in the division race? I don't think they can. I think the Vikings get this win in Green Bay. I think it's low scoring. Maybe like a 17-13, 24-21, 24-20 type of game. But I think the Vikings find a way to get it done. I just like what they're doing on defense. Brian Flores has them playing out of their minds. And then we talked about it earlier. Kevin O'Connell just has a way to get the most out of his quarterbacks. whether they are found in a dumpster behind a Kmart or they're a first-round draft pick. He finds a way to get the most out of them. So I like the Vikings here. Scott, what say you?
I think that a lot of the things you said are correct. Minnesota is the shocker of the NFL right now. They're 3-0. Yes, they beat the Giants in week 1, but they beat the 49ers in Houston, and they handled them. And it's a shocker. Sam Darnold, he has 8 touchdowns on the year. The Packers, I don't think they should play Love. I think they play Willis one more game here because he's playing okay. But the question for the Packers is, who have they really played? They played Tennessee last week, who we know is almost useless. And then they played Indianapolis, who I do like Indy. They're a little sneaky, but they just barely squeaked a victory out there. And then they played Philly in week 1, they lost. And that was with Jordan Love to start that game. So there's things to consider here. The other thing to consider is Jair Alexander for the Packers is listed as questionable right now. That's a main key player to keep slow down the Vikings because it's going to be him on Jefferson, and that's massive. If Jefferson's against a no-name cornerback, he's going to have a day. Another thing to consider is this is Aaron Jones' revenge game. He's coming back to Lambeau. Look, he's been talking about the Lambeau leap. If you're not aware, Minnesota plays in US Bank Stadium, and he has come up with his own Lambeau leap in Minnesota. He calls it the Bank Vault, which is a pretty good name. So he's excited to get up in the stands. I do like him to score. That's my prop bet for this game. I like him to score. I like him to get get the leap in Bank Vault, whatever he's going to call it. But the Vikings are heading to the frozen tundra. And let me tell you something. The fun ends here for the Vikings. I think it's going to be a close game, but I think this division, these games are always close. They're not going to run away with this one. It's in Lambeau. It gives the Packers superpowers to play at home. We've seen it time and time again. So give me the Packers, -2.5 at Lambeau. I like the upset here.
All right. 2 games left now. 2 games left. So we got the Denver Broncos making the trip to the Meadowlands, taking on the New York Jets. This is the game that was supposed to happen last year that everybody had chalked up as the revenge game, going against Sean Payton. Sean Payton's comments about Nathaniel Hackett, the Jets offensive coordinator, and his incompetency running the Denver Broncos. Only to also be incompetent running the Denver Broncos is Sean Payton currently. So this is the revenge game. I know Aaron Rodgers is going to want to perform for his OC, Nathaniel Hackett, in this one, as well as just get a win. The Broncos are coming off a big win against the Buccaneers where they were a 7-point dog. They're a 7-point dog again in this one. I don't think they find a way to get the cover. I don't think they find a way to get the win. I think the Jets handle them. I think it's low scoring. I think the Jets' defense is really the difference in this one. I don't think the Broncos are going to have any success. Bo Nix went against a super banged-up Tampa Bay defense last week. That's why he was able to have the success that he was. This Jets team does not have the same injuries as that Tampa team does. And they also have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, not Baker Mayfield. So he's going to be a lot more consistent. They got a running game, whereas Tampa does not have a running game right now. Give me the Jets to handle the Broncos in this one. Scott, what say you?
Yeah, look, the Broncos got one last week, but when it comes down to it, Bo Nix is not it right now. He could be good in the future. There's sparks, but he has 600 yards passing, no passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. His only touchdowns have come on the ground so far, and expect that to continue because Sauce is not going to allow a touchdown to his side. The Jets' defense is starting to stand tall. Rodgers, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick. He's playing better. Hall looks great. They need to get Wilson more involved, in my opinion. He's got 150 yards and 1 touchdown, but he's catching 15 receptions. He's catching the ball, but they need to get him more involved in the red zone. I'm with you. I think the misery continues again for the Broncos. I think the Jets handle them, and because I feel so strongly about the handling that will occur, I don't know. I'm going to be bold here. I don't know if the Broncos are going to score more than 6 points. I think maybe 2 field goals. So I like the under because I don't think the Jets are going to score more than 30 points. I like the under here at 39.5.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think it's a good pick. I like that a lot, actually, because I'm
I
with you in the
appreciate
same
that.
boat. Like I think it's like a 21-6 type of game. I
Yep.
think the same thing. I just don't think Denver's going to find a way to score.
Ah.
Last game of the week that we are going over. It looks like he's getting props, folks. Looks like he's getting props. We are going Steelers. Steelers at the Colts. Steelers are the current favorite of -1.5. Over
Me,
under sitting
baby.
at 40.
Oh, that's
Somehow
all
the
you got to
Steelers have
say.
found a way to win. They have found a way to win in these games. Their offense still looks atrocious, but they don't care. Steelers, you can see it. You can see it right here on his face. Steelers fans
Guys,
don't care. As long as they
you don't.
win the game, their offense could score 1 point and it wouldn't matter.
1-0 is a win, baby.
So my best bet for this game. Let me just go ahead and get this out there right now. It's Anthony Richardson to throw an interception. He is playing like dog water right now. I don't know what his deal is. I don't know if it's just lingering injury issues, but he's trying to do way too much by himself, and he's throwing the ball, forcing it into terrible decisions, terrible coverages. However, there's something
Don't
weird
do it
about
to
this
me.
line. There's something weird about this line, Scott.
What's
Um,
weird about it? 1.5? We can't score
I
points.
think I think it's going to be the Colts +1.5 in this game. I think the Colts find a way to get this win because let's face it, this neither one of these offenses is scoring 20 points in this game. It's not
Not
happening.
happening.
It's not happening. Under is looking great, but I think Jonathan Taylor finds a way to get into the end zone. I think Anthony Richardson finds a way to not turn the ball over 15 times in this game. Uh, and I think the luck may run out on Justin Fields offensively. I think the Colts are able to force some turnovers. They're able to get some sacks. Something just doesn't feel right about this line, and that's why I'm moving with the Colts. Colts +1.5. Book it. What do you got, Scott?
I agree. The line feels weird, but I understand
It's
the
weird.
line.
It's not right.
I understand the line. This game
The
feels
line is
weird.
not
This
right.
is a game. This is a game that we lose in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left because a fumble that they take back for 6 points. That's the kind of feel I get here. But I'm going to disagree with a lot of what you just said. Justin Fields has gotten better week over week. Every single week he's gotten better. Last week I told you we'd score 2 offensive touchdowns. And guess what? We scored 2 offensive touchdowns. One, a 55-yard pass to Calvin Austin, which if he can remain productive, that's a huge key in our game because George Pickens, he's going to get the attention. But if we have Calvin Austin as a second option, that's fantastic.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about when you think the Colts are going to find a way to score points. If you think Richardson is not going to throw a pick, he is going to be on the ground all game long. We might have 5, 6, 7 sacks this game. I think they're going to destroy that offensive line. TJ Watt's going to come to play. Hairbrigg is going to come from the other side. He had 2 sacks last week where it mattered. Hayward's playing great. Joey Porter, not playing bad. Then we got Minka. Queen is starting to get a feel for the defense. So I think our defense comes to play. I think our defense has played, what are we giving up? 8 points right now per game. I think they continue to do that. I think they hold them to either 1 touchdown in a field goal or just a field goal or 2. I like us to have a turnover. My prop bet, TJ Watt sack. That's pretty easy. Since he's been in the league, he's averaging almost 1 sack a game. I think it's like 0.97. So that's my prop. Najee, 209 yards. He's splitting some carries. We're getting some decent, okay running production. It's not the best. I like Fields to continue to do better. I like Fields to move the ball with his feet. This game scares me quite a bit. There's just something about it. Something stupid is going to happen. There's going to be a special teams play that is going to be the difference in the game. But I'm going to be biased. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be biased. The last 2 games for the Steelers picks, they weren't biased. I just knew we were going to win. This is a purely biased pick because I don't know which way the game's going to go. Give me the Steelers -1.5 on the road. Lucas Oil. We're not going to cook anybody. We might score 20 points and they might score 6, and that's why we'll win. It doesn't matter. It
20's
doesn't
crazy.
matter. 20's not crazy. We scored 20 last week. We
20
scored
is
18
crazy.
week 1, and we scored, what was it? 16 or no, 10 points. Wow, I'm blind. 13 points in the second game of the season. 20 is not out of the question. Our offense has gotten better week after week from a production standpoint, yards, from touchdowns, getting more players involved, Fields getting better. I wouldn't be surprised if we put up 20, and I do not see the Colts putting up more than 10 against our defense right now. We are flying around. And for that reason, your bet is already going to be, I mean, it's already on the edge of disaster. Your 5.5 over win bet with me, but we're going to be one step closer this week. Give me the Steelers -1.5, 4-0 start, baby. Let's see it.
Yeah, this game is a race to 15, 100%. Whoever can get to 15 first will win this game. All right, throwing up the recap. We got a lot of head-to-head here.
You need it. You need the help because you haven't had the badge yet. I'm the only one that's had it. She's right here. She's blue. She's pretty.
Whatever. All right,
We're
so
going to be hanging out.
we're both on the Bengals against the Panthers. I'm on the Saints. You're on the Falcons. I'm on the under in the Seahawks Lions. You're on the over. I'm on the Cowboys. You're on the Giants. We got a lot of like classic head-to-heads here. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the Tennessee Dolphins under. You got the Titans. I'm on the Bills. You're on the over in that Bills-Ravens game. We're both on the Raiders. We're against the Browns. We're both on the Texans against the Jaguars. I'm on the Chargers. You're on the Chiefs. I'm on the Vikings. You're on the Packers. I'm on the Jets. You're on the under in the Jets-Broncos game. And then I'm on the Colts, and you are on the Steelers. Gross week. Absolutely gross. These games, outside of like, there were probably 4 or 5 that I feel real confident, real solid about, and then the rest of them you might as well throw darts in the air and see what you can hit.
Yeah. Hey, one thing I'll say, shout out to my beloved Valdosta State Blazers, starting the season 3-0, number 3 right now in Division II football. Hoping Kenny Moore, who plays for the Colts, alumni of Valdosta State, plays. He's questionable right now. I'd love to see him play against my boys, but he's probably going to have a pick if he plays. That's my shout out to the Blazers right here, because I know you in the background, Miami. I know you talking to Gator Dave in that college pick'em show. You're pretty excited about Miami being up there, and I'm just waiting. I'm just sitting in the shadows, waiting for something to happen, a slip up to occur, so I can pounce.
It's not going to happen. We got Friday this week against Vatek, okay? It's like we're 17-point favorite or something like that. It's got a little hint of something, but don't bank on it too much. I think we'll be all right. I appreciate you, Scott. I appreciate everybody that was jumping in the chat. We love to see it every time. It makes us laugh. It makes us smile. If you got any questions, please always jump in there. Shoot us a comment underneath the video. Like, subscribe. We are here every Wednesday moving forward for the rest of the season. We try to be around 9:30 Eastern time. Sometimes with the college show, it pushes that back a little bit. So right between 9:30 to 10 Eastern is where you can typically find us jumping live here on YouTube. So definitely tune back in next week. And good luck this week. Hopefully that medal that you're talking about is on this side. It's on this side next week. With all that movement, all that head-to-head, head-to-head matchup. Yeah, whatever. We'll see. All right. Thank you again, Scott.